Hi everybody, it's time for my predictions and opportunities for 2025. My goodness, what can go wrong? So, one thing I can predict is my 4 masterclasses in 2025, and they are on the following dates: the 10th and 11th of March in London, 16th and 17th of June, 29th and 30th of September, and the 24th and 25th of November. Now we've got the advert out the way, and apparently I've got to remind you at the end of this as well. But anyway, let's talk about what's going to happen next year and what are the opportunities available to you next year as well. Because of course, you know, we do all like a bit of blood on the street, because you know that creates opportunities for the rest of us, as long as it's not your blood. So let's see where we get to. What's very important to remember is that whatever happens in the political scene really reflects on property investment and developing, and even buying a house. So at the moment, obviously, Labour are in. They haven't made a great start. I hope personally they improve in many ways, because I think it will be good for the economy and for the rest of us. Interest rates are one of the most important things with regards to the property industry. So we all thought that next year interest rates were going to come down substantially. Now we think we've got more inflation coming, and no one seems to really believe that there's going to be a massive drop in interest rates. Maybe they'll drop twice, 2.5% each time next year. That's sort of the prediction. So maybe slightly better than this year, but not a lot, not a lot. We've also got the extra stamp duty for everyone with more than one property, which also, it was a political decision, which obviously affects the housing market quite a lot if you're looking to develop or invest in property. So where we normally start is the housing market. So the general housing market, so why don't we start there? Because, you know, again, that's a reasonable barometer for everyone and what they're going to be doing next year. So the predictions for next year for the housing market are between 0 and 3% increase in value. And I would agree with that. And I think that, you know, 3% increase is nothing really anyway. So I can pretty much guarantee, if anything is guaranteed in this life, that the property market will be pretty flat next year. Of course, it's a micro market. Some areas might go up a bit, some areas might go down a little bit, depending what's happening in those areas, but I think it will be pretty flat. So bear in mind when you're doing any development and hoping for some, you know, price increases, I don't think that's going to happen. One of the other reasons it may not happen, apart from interest rates not falling as much as we'd like, the other issue is we've still got 1.5 million people whose mortgages are coming up in the next 12 to 18 months. And although they may not be paying as much as they were, say, a year and a half ago for a new mortgage rate, I should say, they still will be paying a lot more than they're paying now. So that has to be taken into account. So I think the housing market will be steady. I think most agents will sell a few more than they have this year, which was better than last year. So it's on the increase, but I don't think there'll be anything to get too excited about. So let's move to the house builders, because they control 60% of the new homes market. They built less than 200,000 houses this year. Next year, I think they'll build a few more, but not a lot more, and nothing like the targets that this Labour government have set out. Why? Well, interest rates again will have a significant effect, and also second home stamp duty will have some effect as well. The one thing that might really help them is the promise from Labour of a 5% guaranteed deposit scheme for first-time buyers. Now, we don't know much more about it at the moment, but they say they're going to roll this out next year. They've got a lot on their plate. I wouldn't hold your breath on that one for the first 6 months of next year, but perhaps towards the end of next year they may have rolled this 5% guaranteed deposit. Now, we don't know what form that will be in, and if it's too complicated, it won't get picked up by the house builders or the lending institutions. If it's simple, then it will be. So let's see what happens there. That's what they've promised anyway. So that is a plus, definitely, for the house builders if that comes off. Let's talk landlords. Well, landlords have had a pounding over the last few years, as we all know, and another pounding is on increase in stamp duty. They really aren't helping. 2.4 million landlords housing 11 million people in this country, and they've been treated, all of us, including me, have been treated shabbily by not just the Conservative government, but now the Labour government as well. We've got the Renters Reform Bill. That will be coming into force, I think, by June next year. And I think that pushes more landlords out of the market, which will mean there will be a shortage of housing to rent, which obviously means that you'll get an increase in rents for the ones who are staying put and keeping in the industry. So I think we can assume a 10% increase in rents across the board next year. I also think that you'll be paying a little bit less if you are going to buy any property. You'll be paying less than you will this year because there'll be a glut of it. Remember, there's more properties on the market at the moment than there has been for 6 years. So that, again, that surplus needs to be taken up before any increases can be seen in the market. So what does that leave us? That leaves us with the developers. People like me and others similar to me across the UK, small developers we're considered, because we build less than 250 houses a year, we're considered a small developer. Now, where are we? Well, we've got issues going forward, I think, with build costs and inflation still, and materials just keep going up. We've had wage increases as well. So I think it's going to be tough going forward as it has been this year. I think more of the same probably is the answer. Building regulations keep getting more and more complicated. I'm not selling it well, I know, but I think there'll be opportunities. There's a number of banks and financial institutions looking to get rid of residential property where they've lent and it's all gone wrong. So that's an opportunity there for people. Also in the commercial field, I think there's great opportunities still in the commercial field, certainly. But I think it's going to be relatively tough going at the moment, pretty tough going forward for the next 12 months. But there will be opportunities, and of course the less people that are in the market, which means there are less competition. You should be able to buy things cheaper. Stamp duty is not helping either, I know, but just bid less than you were. That leaves us to really talk about the opportunities, because we don't want this video to be negative, and I'm certainly not a negative person, and I'm looking forward to next year because I can see opportunities where I've recently been dealing with local authorities and selling property to them direct because they've got a grant from this current government. In fact, they had a grant from the last government, can you believe, to buy brand new homes as well as refurbished houses. So that's certainly an opportunity for a number of you out there, along with the housing associations. I've just done a deal on some land where I'm selling it to a housing association who, are paying pretty fair money for it. And of course, with a housing association, if you negotiate correctly, you won't have the social housing requirement because it's being sold to a housing social housing operator. So that can save you quite a lot of money in social housing, payments that you have to make. Hopefully you won't have to if you sell to a housing association, and they're going to have more money to spend. Don't forget, this government have given them more money, so that has got to be good news. Assisted living is the hot buzzword at the moment, and there are a number of operators out there who will rent your property off you for 5 years for assisted living, as will the local authorities as well, and central government through Serco and people like that. So if you are a landlord, I think you can definitely sweat your asset probably harder than you currently are at the moment, probably. So they're great opportunities, along with auctions. And I talk a lot about in my masterclasses about auctions, and I've written a book on auctions and all the rest of it. Now, auctions are the barometer for the housing market, and they continue to be opportunities to purchase at auction at a huge discount to open market value. You have to be choosy, you have to know why the property's in the auction, and it needs to be have a problem with it, but it's a problem that you need to be able to solve. But the opportunities will be out there, especially over £1 million plus. That's what I'm being told by the major auction houses. So where does this leave me? Well, it leaves me optimistic for next year that we can do a few deals up and down the country. If you've got anything that you think I can benefit from in a joint venture or a deal, then please do get in contact. I always come back to everyone, hopefully within an hour or two. If you need some support and mentorship or advice, consultancy, I'm available for that. There's nothing I haven't really seen and done over the last 44 years in the property industry. I cannot believe it's been that long. Most of the time it's been great fun. I've had the odd sticky moment like everybody. And by the way, you know, you're only as good as your next deal. Remember that. So even if your last deal was a disaster or it was fantastic and you made a load of money, it doesn't matter because you're only as good as your next deal. Make sure it's a good one. I hope this advice helps and I look forward to seeing you at one of my masterclasses during the year. Happy New Year.